Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we explore convenient yet effective shortcuts that will help you get ahead and move forward faster by becoming a better leader. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert, and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbach.
Thanks, Kimberly. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, I have the nomad today. Actually, he's a good friend of mine. His name's Ramesh Subramanian. He calls himself the nomad because he was born in East India, moved to the south of India, and then moved to the west of India for his education. His father worked for an oil company, and the family moved every 3 to 4 years. At a young age, Ramesh was fascinated with computers, even though it wasn't necessarily prevalent during the day, but he eventually received a bachelor's in computer science from Pune University, and then followed his father's footsteps and received a master's in marketing. Ramesh started his career in consulting and worked in Malaysia, Singapore, Germany, Denmark, UK, Sweden, Brazil, and Thailand before coming to the US. Now, Ramesh considers himself a global citizen and loves to meet people from various cultures and experiences. But to no surprise, he does not want to uproot his family. Ramesh is an avid cricket fan and played against W.V. Raman, who was a player on the India national team. But Ramesh considers himself to be a better fan than he is a player. In his current role, he creates strategies for consumer care and identifies and cross-pollinates best practices across various global markets for Electrolux. Ramesh was the fortunate benefactor of an arranged marriage. He and his lovely wife, Meghana, are the proud parents of 2 young children, Ashita and Ashan. Ramesh Subramanian, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
Absolutely. I have never been on a camel, but I'll try.
Sounds good. All right. So I've given our listeners a brief introduction, but can you please tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you better?
Sure. Passion, I have multiple passions that kind of ebbs and flows, so to speak. Currently, my passion is essentially on my kids' football games and how they are trying to learn the game, and I'm trying to be a good father figure or a role model to encourage them learn the game, but I don't have a clue how to play that game. So it's a very interesting process that we are going through, wherein I kind of encourage them to play and give them a lot of instructions without knowing anything about how to play the game. So I feel that I am perfectly fit for leadership and management roles now.
It's a good training ground, isn't it?
No doubt.
Well, there's a lot of inspiration in what you just shared right there. I mean, getting to, learn something together that's new creates a much more powerful bond in a lot of ways. So, I would think that particular opportunity that you have with them will be something that will resonate and carry forward for everybody's lifetime and generation. So I commend you on that.
Thank you.
We, oftentimes at the Fast Leader Show, we look for inspiration in a lot of different ways. Of course, through the stories that are told, and we're looking forward to you sharing some of your life journey. But, really quotes, passages, and those things can really be powerful things for us. Is there one that you could share with us that kind of guides you and helps you be the person that you want to be?
Actually, there is one there have been many actually, but there is one that I think has had a big impact in my life. And when I heard of it first, I never really understood the gravity or the depth of this statement or this saying, I should say. The founder of the nation of India, Mahatma Gandhi, had said this: live as if you will die tomorrow, and learn as if you will live forever. And I think that's extremely powerful and deep statement that he had made in the context of 1940s, 1930s. I'm talking about, which is still absolutely relevant even today, and it has impact not only on the individual but also society at large. So I try to look at those aspects. Essentially, if you look at it, live as if you will die tomorrow. Essentially, tells you that drive everything with a sense of urgency. right? I mean, that's what it's talking about. Or my interpretation of that is, how can you drive sense of urgency in everything that you do so that you can drive results quickly, be it personal life, be it professional life. And I'm sure you've experienced that when we used to work together, a little bit of my sense of urgency and madness, so to speak, that. And the other aspect is about learning continuously. How do you continuously learn? And because in today's day and age, if you don't learn, you're not only, so to speak, obsolete, but you're pretty much, done, in the sense that you're extinct. And that's very important to understand, especially given the 21st century economy and also the competition that our kids are going to face, which are going to be very global in nature. So it has a lot of relevance from a personal standpoint, from a community standpoint, as well as professional standpoint.
It sounds like it definitely has, even when you started talking about learning a new sport with your kids that you have no basis in. I mean, it's that
Yes.
constant reinvention. And I would dare to say that it has also made an impact to you as you've gone through the chapters in your life. One of our previous guests talks about, you can almost look at it on the every 10-year marker where you kind of have to, reevaluate, reassess, look and see where you're going, have a better sense of urgency maybe for the next, couple months, next 10 years and really, chart a path and reinvent yourself on a continuous basis. And I mean, you just reinforced it, and that quote has a very powerful meaning for you in that. So thank you for sharing. Now, I know that with all of the different things that you've been through, and even when we were working together side by side for a while, the challenges that we often face are so varied in nature, and they sometimes come very rapidly. And however, there's some that really shape and define us more than others. We talk about humps on the Fast Leader Show and needing to get over those humps. Can you remember a time where you've had to get over the hump? It was really one of those major defining moments for you. Can you share that story with us, please?
Oh, absolutely. Well, funny that you asked that question, because there have been several humps, so to speak. I'll go back to what when you did my intro, you were talking about me being a nomad and why I call myself a nomad, right? So, just to give you a context of that, the hump I used to face is we used to have a new set of friends every few years. And when there is, and as you can imagine, when you're growing up, friends are a very important context of who you are. And what that really helped me understand is to the importance of friendship. I mean, that was very, very important. That got instilled in me, or I learned about it really, really, young, in terms of how important friendship is. And it also, I think, helped me understand that you need to, or I need to rather, the small amount of time that I'm going to spend with whoever the person is, to enjoy that time. Because there are things that we take for granted, but typically they are not. And from young age, I would say that was one of the humps that it took me a while to really understand and digest, because we were moving quite frequently. And again, to extend the nomad story, when I moved to college, when I moved to the west of India to do my bachelor's, I don't know how much you know about India, but when you go from the south of India to the west of India, it's a whole different country, different culture, completely different. I mean, we don't even speak the same language there. You are basically a completely, it's like you're learning everything from scratch. And the dynamics between people, how to feel part of the society or part of the school, that was a huge learning process, I think. And these learnings, you never are taught in books. I mean, these are experiences, right? And I think life experiences teach you more than any book can. And one of the biggest things I learned through that whole process was, you need to give people time to ensure that they understand you are worthy of their trust. And once there is, because trust is foundational to any relationship. And with some people, it is faster than others. But time is definitely a factor when you're essentially trying to get into a new climate or new environment and trying to, kind of be part of it, be it social, be it professional, even for that matter, be it a new school that your kid go to. I mean, there has to be a level of thawing, so to speak, that needs to happen. So I think that maturity, I think, came during my college years, and I think one which is more relevantly new, I would say, is when I came to the US first time to live. I traveled to the US multiple times for consulting and various other assignments and engagements. But about a decade ago, I actually moved here with my family. And my daughter Ishita was 6 months old then. When you come here to live, the challenges are completely different because you don't have a social security number, you don't have any credit history, and the challenges that a first generation immigrant goes through is it's not easily explained or understood when you are, again, you take things for granted, right? What's a big deal in getting a credit card, for example? When you don't have credit history, you will understand how important a credit card is, and how to rent a place, because they won't rent a place to you because you don't have credit history. They don't know that you are not a criminal, for example, because there is no history. So the initial couple of months, the challenge we went through, especially with my daughter being 6 months old, we pretty much lived in a hotel suite for about 3 weeks to a month. And that was a very interesting time of our life because it taught me a lot. But I think a few things that it did teach me was the importance of being prepared. I think that we were not prepared enough. I think we could have done much better research, or much better understanding of what the environment we were going to. And the second I would say is, always know that there will be issues and there will be curveballs, and be ready to hit it. I mean, don't just, get dejected or down because there are curveball coming at you, because they will always come. It's about the attitude in which you face those curveballs.
Well, there's so many things as you were talking that started running through my mind because I know your wife wasn't, the nomad and the traveler that you
No,
were. So how were you able to manage just that
that's
relationship piece?
that's a phenomenal question, Jim, because me and my wife cannot be more opposite in our life experiences. When we got married, she was about 24 years old. And for 24 years, she had been in the same house. And it was a joint family that they had. In India, there is a joint family wherein the brothers and all the brothers live together with the parent. Her father's elder brother and younger brother and their kids and wife used to live in the same place, in the same house.
Oh my.
So for 24 years, all she knew was this place, which was an 1,000 square feet apartment. And for 24 years, and all of a sudden, she gets married to me, and within the first month, we were in UK, and she didn't know what hit her. And then we came back to India to have our daughter, and 6 months later, we are in the US. So for her, it was a roller coaster ride. She didn't know what was coming at her. So it was, I think, she brought a level of, I don't know what the right word is, but she kind of settled me down in the sense that the way I approached towards life was not always about what's the next in terms of where am I going to go? And that's one of the reasons I moved from consulting to industry, because in consulting you always tend to travel quite a bit. You just brought me back to some of the nostalgic things.
So if you started thinking about a piece of advice that you would give our listeners, what would it be?
Wow. I'm not sure I have enough experiences to give advice, but I can definitely share a few things that I think are important. I mean, let me start personal first. I think first and foremost, I think you need to have a plan to make sure you take care of the family first. And what I mean by that is not only financial, but even otherwise. I mean, at least that's the way I have been built, or that's what the value system in which I have been brought up. So first and foremost, it's what do you need to do to take care of the family, and second is how adventurous can you make your life. And what I mean by that is, again, the adventure not in the traditional sense of going bungee jumping, for example. Yes, that you should do that if you can, but there has to be a level of thrill in which we are doing whatever you do. In my belief, because when you're doing something that is with a lot of zeal and passion, and you feel it is adventurous, I think you give more than 100%. And it doesn't matter what, it really doesn't matter what it is. And I think the third one is, and this is something that I continue to struggle with, quite honestly, is try to be patient, try to learn, be persistent, persevere, and and don't jump the gun quick. And what I mean by that is, typically in any given situation, we are very quick to come to a judgment or very quick to come to a conclusion. And certain things take time, and the understanding and the maturity and the patience is required. But I can just preach that I don't practice it as much as I know I should. But I think there are those three things that I at least believe that I want to live by.
So talking about an excitement and zeal and all of that, what is one thing that really excites you about the work that you're doing today?
Oh, wow. A couple of things, actually. One is, the base need, or the basic is taking care of consumers, right? I mean, if you look at any industry, the reason you survive is because having a good customer base or consumer base. So the reason for existence of the company, for that matter, is because of your consumers. So they are the key part of your business. And so being part of the consumer care organization globally, that by itself is a big thrill for me. And what I've been doing last couple of months, actually starting Q4 of last year, is I've been part of a transformational journey that we have initiated within Electrolux, and that's called the digital transformation. So we are going through and looking at the digital experience that our consumers are having through the consumer care journey, or actually the whole journey, 360 journey that consumers have with us, from pre-purchase to at purchase and post-purchase. And how can we make sure that we are providing world-class experiences to our consumers, so that we are top of mind when it comes to brand selection, and also they can actually love our brands and recommend our brands to their friends and family. So we are looking at very specific high intensity touch points where we can leverage that, and that's phenomenal. I think that's something that's going to differentiate us in the industry. And I believe that it is going to be not only transformational within our company, but also, more importantly, the people who we will touch in this process are going to be enormous. And I mean internal as well as our consumer.
Well, I know the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. All right, now here we go, Fast Leader Legion. It's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. Okay, Ramesh, the Hump Day Hoedown is the part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Ramesh, are you ready to hoe down?
Absolutely.
All right. So what do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
I think I just shared with you, Jim, being patient. I mean, that's something that I need to learn, and learn fast.
I'm right there with you, brother.
Yeah.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
I think the biggest is, thought of a man is but the product of his own thoughts. What he thinks he becomes. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a very powerful advice that I had received from actually a couple of people. And it actually helps me be positive and being optimistic in scenarios, in situations, because you think positive, you become a positive man.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success at work or at life?
I think both work and life is about learning, insatiable desire to learn. I mean, if you don't learn, you become obsolete.
What do you feel is one of your best resources that helps you lead in business or life?
Well, best resource I would say is my crooked mind. It's not my crooked mind, but I think I don't know if you have known certain interviews you go, they draw a triangle, a circle, a squibbly line, and they say, and a circle, and they say, which one do you relate to the most? And I always go for the squiggly line. And apparently, what that means is you always figure a way out.
Definitely fits with the nomad status. What would be one book that you would recommend to our listeners?
Oh, wow. There are so many, Jim. I don't think it's fair to just give you one book, but I'll give you a few that may be worthwhile for the readers to consider. One of my favorite is Great, Good to Great. I think first, Break All Rules is a good one. Execution by Ram Charan is a good one too, if you're focused on execution and stuff like that. And then one of my favorites is Iceberg is Melting. I think it's a very famous book, a quick read. And I think I'm asking my daughter to read it now.
All right, Fast Leader listeners, you're going to be able to find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/Ramesh Subramanian. Okay, Ramesh, here's the last question on the Hump Day Hoedown. Imagine you woke up tomorrow morning and you were 25 years old again, and you're supposed to begin a new job as a manager of a team that is underperforming and disengaged, but you've been able to take everything you know and all the skills that you have back with you. Now, your task is to turn a team around. You get up, you get ready, you head out to work. What do you do now?
Wow. Number one, I will be a much more wiser man when I get up, so to speak, when I am 25 years old. I mean, it's about life experiences, right? You learn a lot, and if I get an opportunity to go back and with all this wisdom, I think first and foremost, I'll have more emphasis on people. I think people are together contribute significantly, especially in a turnaround scenario. And the importance from a leadership standpoint is clearly defining the strategic priorities. Once the team understand what the strategic priorities are, then we need to communicate and get the team together as a unit. So I think defining the strategic priorities is number one. Giving the clear direction and getting them to work as a team is number two. And making sure that they come back and tell us, what does success look like for that particular individual? So how do they contribute to the strategic objective? How do they consider that when they do X, Y, Z, they feel that they have contributed to that cause and they will look successful? And that's something that they have to define for themselves rather than dictating. I mean, some of it has to be, objectives, KPI driven, but when it comes to individuals, I think to make them feel a sense of pride in what they do goes a long way to achieve the overall objective. So I think my emphasis will be more on people, because I did not have the people aspect when I was 25 years old. I think as I grew up, I realized the importance of the people aspect of things.
Ramesh, it was an honor to spend time with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader Legion how they can connect with you?
Sure. You can reach me in LinkedIn, Ramesh Subramanian, and then you can email me. My email ID is rameshdon. It's RAMESHDON @yahoo.com.
Ramesh Subramanian, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Woo-hoo! Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.